Hi, everyone. We'll get started in 1 minute. All right, we can go ahead and get started. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to our webinar today, a sneak peek at the Safe Routes to School National Conference. My name is Michelle Lieberman. I am the Senior Technical Assistance Manager at the Safe Routes Partnership, and I'm going to be your webinar moderator today. A little bit about the Safe Routes Partnership. If you're not familiar with us, we are a national nonprofit organization working to advance safe walking and bicycling to and from schools and improving the health and well-being of kids of all races, income levels, and abilities, and fostering the creation of healthy communities for everyone. We do this through a number of ways. We are working to improve the quality of life for kids, families, and communities. We are advancing policy change at the federal, state, and regional and local levels. We catalyze support for safe, healthy, active communities, and we share our expertise as we learn from the field through means such as this webinar. So I'm going to start with a little bit of GoToWebinar housekeeping. On the left, you'll see the GoToWebinar viewer through which you'll see the presentation. On the right is the GoToWebinar control panel, and here you can raise your hand, ask questions, and select the audio mode that you'll use. Please note that your control panel will collapse automatically when you're not using it, so to keep it open, you want to click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide Control Panel. We have two options for listening to us today, the telephone or mic and speakers on your computer. If you're having sound problems with one selection, just try the other option, and we'll do our best to field any issues if you send us a chat message. So even though you're muted today and we want to hear your questions and input, you can use the questions box to ask speakers questions for the Q&A portion of the webinar. That will take place at the end after all of our speakers have presented, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can in our time today. We'll also have a recorded version of this webinar up on our website. So after viewing today's presentation, if you want to view it again or send the link to other people, you can do that for free by going to our website, saferoutespartnership.org. If we click on the Resources tab, and then click on Webinars in the list on the left side of the page, all of our past webinars are stored here for your viewing pleasure, and they're really great resources, so I really urge you to visit this page and take a look. So our webinar today is going to be a little bit different from our usual webinars. We're very excited to have the Safe Routes to School National Conference in Tampa, Florida this November. It'll be the first National Safe Routes to School Conference since 2016, and it'll be great to reconvene our Safe Routes to School practitioners and advocates and really be inspired by all the great work happening across the country. At the same time, we hope to see a lot of new faces at the conference. So today, we want to give you a sneak peek at the conference. We have speakers from each of our 4 conference tracks with us today. They're going to give you a preview of their sessions so you can have a taste of what the awesome and inspiring things that can be presented. I'm also going to give you an overview of the other activities that are going to be happening outside of these 4 tracks. If you're already registered for the conference, we'll hope that you'll be even more excited to join us after today. And if you haven't registered yet, we hope you'll be excited to sign up quickly. So the conference is going to be organized into 4 tracks, and these 4 tracks are the breakouts, our mobile workshops and trainings that have been sorted into these 4 tracks. They are Safe Routes to School Level 1, which includes sessions about different programming aspects, starting your Safe Routes to School programs. They'll highlight different ways programs have started or maintain a Safe Routes to School program based on different community contexts. The Safe Routes to School Level 2 track includes more topics for more mature Safe Routes to School programming, including more in-depth or complex programming and creating ties to other initiatives. The Building Support track is going to include sessions on building strong partnerships, collaboration, funding and program sustainability, and then finally Safe Routes Everywhere. We started with the route to school, but along the way we found safe routes to parks, food, centers of faith, and more. So this track is really going to cover the broadening definition of safe routes. So today's speakers, I'm going to read all their bios right now and then let them get on with their presentations. We're going to start with Amir Amanian and Ariana King from, Amir is with the City of Austin Safe Routes to School program for the last 4 years, and he serves in his current role as program manager. He's been in this role for the last 2 years. Amir received his bachelor's in health promotion and fitness from the University of Texas at Austin and his master's in public administration from the University of Texas Pan American. Ariana is the Safe Routes to School coordinator in the Kansas City area. She's joined the Safe Routes to School team in late 2016 while serving as an AmeriCorps Vista with the local health department. Since then, she has joined Bike Walk KC, a nonprofit advocates for better walking and biking. Her unique outreach to schools and community partnerships has led to programming expansion and sustainability. So I'm actually going to let Amir and Ariana go ahead and take it away right now.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Amir Mamian, and I'm the program manager for the City of Austin Safe Routes to School program.
And I'm Ariana King. I'm the program coordinator for Safe Routes to School here in Kansas City.
And the title of our presentation is How Creative Partnerships Led to a Well-Rounded Safe Routes to School program, which encompasses crossing guards, walking school buses, education, engagement, and infrastructure. The objectives of our presentation will be to continue to learn a uniform process to hire, train, and oversee crossing guards and how to get connected with schools, how our programs are implementing infrastructure improvements, how local municipalities can rally behind this work and support, and how leveraging local government resources builds sustainable relationships, ways to utilize alternative programming such as funding for champions, and how equity and diversity is addressed when supporting schools. A little bit of history on the City of Austin Safe Routes to School program. It was started in 1991 with the passage of the Child Safety Fund. The state legislation decided that they were going to fund safety initiatives throughout the state of Texas. So we started with our crossing guard program in 1991. In 1995, we saw that, we have people out there helping kids cross the street safely, but they need to be taught and learn how to safely cross the street on their own when we weren't out there. So created an education program in 1995. In 2015, we expanded our engagement program. And in 2016, the City of Austin passed a $720 million mobility bond, where $27.5 million was called out specifically for Safe Routes to School. So at that point, we were able to start building out infrastructure.
And in KCK, how our work with Safe Routes to School began was in 2007, the Public Works Department began conducting safety and infrastructure needs assessments around 10 schools. In 2010, sidewalk construction began around some of those schools. Now, concurrently, the unified government was seeking funding to do Safe Routes to School programming, Safe Routes to School, which required supporting education programming. So in 2013, Public Works partnered with Bike Walk KC to deliver that education and programming, and in 2018, the pedestrian safety curriculum was created.
Some of the partnerships that the City of Austin Safe Routes to School program maintains are with the school districts. There are 7 school districts that touch within the City of Austin, within City of Austin departments themselves, so with the Transportation Department, Police, the Parks and Recs Department, Development Services, etc. One of our big partners is Safe Kids Austin. We're really involved with the PTA, so the Parent Teacher Association here in Austin, and just with community, grassroots organizations and biking organizations throughout the city.
And Public Works and Bike Walk KC partner directly, while of course having the school district support is just as crucial. Our goals are in alignment with the local health department, and then we work with police and crossing guards to enforce traffic safety improvements around schools. And finally, community organizations support capacity building.
As I stated, we have our crossing guard program that services 7 different school districts. So that's Austin ISD, which is our largest. We service about 90 schools there. Leander, Round Rock, Del Valle, Eanes, Pflugerville, and Manor. Most of those have 2 to 5 schools that fall within our city. We have 7 crossing guard supervisors, 21 supervisor assistants, and they oversee over 200 crossing guards. So we do have a very large crossing guard program.
All right. And for us here in Kansas City, the walking school bus program is really the core unique piece of our Safe Routes to School programming. Walking school bus patterns a regular school bus route. We have stops. There's a designated route led by an adult whom we call champions, leading kids either home from school or walking to school. We have over 40 schools throughout two districts that have been involved in some capacity. Groups walk at least once a week and some even daily. And we are able to support champions through a stipend and technical assistance from Bike Walk KC.
For infrastructure. So the City of Austin, like I said earlier, passed a $720 million mobility bond in 2016. $27.5 million was called out specifically for Safe Routes to School to be evenly distributed among our 10 council districts. And what this allowed us to do is actually create an infrastructure report per district to see kind of what the need is, what we can build out. And our plan is to build out, starting in 2016 through 2024 to spend those funds.
Funding for Safe Routes to School is secured from 2010 extending out to 2022. So far, 10 miles of sidewalk has been constructed with an investment of $10 million in both federal and local funds. Public Works maintains school signage and crosswalk upgrades around schools, and involved with school building infrastructure improvements.
Some of the school engagement that the City of Austin does is, one of our big ones is Bow Wow, Bike on Wednesday, Walk on Wednesday. We find that to be a good way to introduce community members and family members into, hey, just try to walk or bike once a week. It's had great success. We do a lot of principal coffees, catch nights, which is a coordinated approach to children's health. That's an AIC initiative. We go out and we provide services to them. Bike rodeos, PTA meetings. We attend a lot of night meetings talking to parents about also being safe on the road when they're walking and biking. And we also provide safety patrol training.
All right. In Wyandotte County, we approach every school individually to see exactly what their needs are and how we can meet them where they're at. So from principals to staff to parents, we specifically find out what they think the school needs from their perspective. We also host an end-of-year celebration called Breakfast of Champions, and then Bike Walk KC coordinates the regional Safe Routes to School Summit, which allows some networking throughout the region to see what other people are doing and how we're all succeeding to move this mission forward. And all of this can be summed up. Amir, if you can go to the next slide, which is a visual of our Safe Routes to School roadmap. And this just kind of lays it out. How do we do this? So at the bottom, we break this down in 3 different stages, which is engage, implement, and sustain, and a few different steps along the way. Every school doesn't go in order. Again, we meet everyone where they're at, excuse me.
And then education. So the City of Austin has 5 training staff members, and what they do is they attend 2 different schools every day. Throughout the school year, we service over 100 schools and train over 48,000 students. And we rotate through 6 younger lessons and 6 older lessons to make sure that no student receives the same lesson while they're in school.
All right, and providing technical assistance to not just the walking school bus piece, but also infrastructure. Again, just constantly staying connected with schools and making sure that their needs are met in a timely manner. In 2018, we did create that pedestrian safety curriculum, and we go into schools and offer that to different grade levels. We walk outside and do a safety walk. We've assisted safety patrols and having upgraded training, if you will. Along with traffic circulation evaluations, we go out to schools and do actual observations of their arrival and dismissal patterns. And some capacity of this work has been done throughout 40 elementary schools.
And that's kind of a quick overview of what we'll be talking about in November when we have our full presentation. We know it's high level and quick, but if you want to reach out and gather any more information beforehand, this is our contact information.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So after hearing about one of the breakout sessions from Safe Routes to School Level 1, let's move on to Safe Routes to School Level 2. We're going to hear from Janice McDonald. Janice has been a project manager for the City of Portland's Bureau of Transportation for the past 14 years. She promotes active transportation, community equity, health, and fun through her work with Safe Routes to School. And she joined the Portland Safe Routes to School team in 2013, and she also co-chairs the Oregon Safe Routes to School Leadership Committee. Here you go, Janice.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Like Michelle said, my name is Janice McDonald, and I work for the City of Portland, leading our Safe Routes to School team. And today I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the Big Dreams with Little Resources presentation that will be at the National Conference. So first, I'm going to introduce the other presenters that will be in Florida with me. We have Margot Akanis from Los Angeles, California, Katie Shinisis from Pasadena, Texas, Jenny Borden from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then me from Portland, Oregon. So one of the goals of our presentation is to show 4 different Safe Routes models that are working to grow their programs in a sustainable way with limited resources available. So I wanted to give you this chart that compares our cities. As you can imagine, Los Angeles is the largest population, along with the most schools. They have 835 schools. However, their school district is actually larger than their city. And then Margot also works with 6 city council directors. In Portland, we have a much smaller amount of schools, but they're split into 5 school districts. And we actually share 2 of our school districts with other cities. And then in LA and Portland, you can see that both of our programs are housed in the city's Transportation Bureau. And Minneapolis has an innovative partnership between the city and the school district, embedding Jenny within the district's culinary and wellness services. And Katie in Pasadena is housed in the county's public health department. Harris County has 22 school districts. However, the Safe Routes to School program is working with 1 district right now. And as you can guess, the design of a Safe Routes to School program is dependent on where it's housed. At our presentation, you'll learn about the differences and similarities of our 4 programs. Today, I want to briefly introduce you to each of the programs and a few things they're grappling with, which you can see listed in the circle of each slide. And some of these might sound familiar to you. In Los Angeles in 2016, they developed an action plan and a data-driven strategy to target efforts to high-need schools and created between the city and district a co-agency policy and an organizational structure to bolster their Safe Routes outcomes. LA wants to reduce the time it takes to implement projects, and delayed projects can create distrust with school communities, as I'm sure we know. Especially for those of us that work in government, we know that delays can be caused by constrained engineering capacity, internal review approaches, and funding schedules. For safety education, she wants to increase awareness of education programs and technical assistance. Margot is revisiting the district level relationships and working to refresh the city school district policy with the goal of increasing school district commitments. With so many local council districts, their type of government, the school administration communications can be challenging. In 2018, Portland adopted a new equity-driven strategic plan. Since we're a citywide program, we're struggling with how to serve all of our schools, 108, with limited resources, especially staff capacity. And then for many years, we've hired a contractor to lead our bike and pedestrian education at 40 elementary schools. And then unfortunately, that leaves out over half of our other schools, and it's really not financially sustainable for us. So we're revamping our education program and moving our bike education to middle school PE classes. A lot of our elementary classes don't have PE. Plus, we're developing a health curriculum that includes personal security in public spaces. And our goal is to develop a K-12 multimodal literacy education program. In 2017, Minneapolis' strategic planning identified priority actions for the school district and brought a focus on equity. A few things that Jenny is working on are school choice, funding, and relevance. In Minnesota, about 15% of their students live in the walk zone, and Safe Routes to School can be perceived as a threat to school choice since our programs want families to walk to school. There's an incredible pressure on urban school districts to do more with less. Last year, Minneapolis's public schools had $30 million of budget cuts. Therefore, the school district funding for safe routes is limited. For example, they have 2 traveling fleets of 40-plus bikes, and the yearly maintenance budget is $500. And then the central mission of a school district is to educate students, and sometimes district leadership sees the relevance or importance of safe routes to school. Since 2014, the Healthy Living Matters Pasadena Community Task Force has prioritized safe routes as a way to increase physical activity and improve neighborhood conditions. A plan was developed to inform the city of the opportunities for environmental change and to leverage state and federal funding. Harris County in Texas is prone to flooding, and communities rely on drainage dishes in many areas. So that takes away a lot of the space that they would be able to use for sidewalks. There's also a stray animal problem in some areas of Pasadena, making it unsafe for children to walk or bike. And Katie is working with the animal control around educating owners to be more responsible, but she feels there's a lot more that can be done. Many neighborhoods have sidewalks, but families encounter obstructions on the sidewalk, such as debris or cars pushing kids into the streets. And another struggle that Katie mentioned to me was something that I think we all face, and that's the number of schools that sign up for walk and bike to school day or challenge month has increased. However, keeping those families engaged afterwards is difficult. At our presentation, we want to make sure that you walk out of the room with strategies to run a Safe Routes to School program within your community, whatever the makeup is. So in Florida, on November 13th at 2:15, we will all be getting up individually to highlight a little bit about our programs. And then we will come together as a panel and dive deeper into specific topics. And because we will have a room full of experts, there will be time for participants to share their ideas and examples of growing sustainable Safe Routes program with their table groups. So bring your ideas to the conference, please. And thank you very much, and I hope to see you in Florida.
Michelle, this is Molly. It looks like you're self-muted on your end. All right. Well, Gina, why don't you go ahead and get started? It looks like Michelle is not able to share your bio right now, but we'll make sure we get your well, you can go ahead and do a little introduction of yourself at the top, and then you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
All right,
yes,
thank
you. I'm Gina Torres, and I'm an executive planner with the Hillsborough Metropolitan Planning Organization. Our city is hosting the conference, so I'm really excited. Although I don't get to travel, I'm really looking forward to everyone being here and enjoying our city. I'm the Vision Zero project manager, and I've been with the county here for 30 years. So I hope that you'll be inspired. I know I'm inspired. I loved hearing about Bow Wow. I'm definitely going to incorporate that in my own strategies here. I love that. That was really great. But I hope I'm inspiring you as well, and I hope you'll come to my session. So I was very honored to be chosen for my panel, One Message, Many Voices, is representing the Building Support for Safe Routes track. The idea of One Message, Many Voices was a result of developing our Vision Zero action plan. In the action plan, we identified 4 tracks to guide the implementation of short-term, low-cost Vision Zero strategies. We cleverly renamed the 4 E's that we always use. So evaluation, we changed that to the future is not like the past. Consistent and fair is our enforcement track. Pain saves lives is our engineering track. And we named our education track One Message, Many Voices. So communities that have established Vision Zero programs, like New York and San Francisco, they assured me that this particular track of increasing awareness to influence the behavior of people on our roadways and also engaging with the victims and survivors to give them support and help them enact change, that track is something that you focus on for the first few years of having your plan completed. And it's holding true for sure. I've been spending most of my time in this particular track. I'm going to highlight just a couple of the strategies that we use in our quest to have everyone in our community knowledgeable about what Vision Zero is all about, and then having them share the message that we all need to take responsibility and slow down and put our phones down, remember the ones that have lost their lives. So using our high injury network, which is the map underneath all those little bumper stickers, we distributed the I brake for message. And if it was a school along those high crash corridors, just the mascot of the school, or I brake for my neighbors. We used a variety of media, professionally made video, Facebook and Twitter. I've trained speakers so that they can reach out further into the community and be trained, and they received all the slides and everything and all the knowledge to pass the word about Vision Zero. We've also recognized that our communities of concern are 20% more likely to be involved in a serious or fatal crash. And our traditional outreach isn't always successful. Calling a meeting during the day or even after work when heads of households are taking care of children or working multiple jobs just hasn't allowed us to expose ourselves to that many people that we want to reach out to. So we walked in the Martin Luther King parade, and I thought that was a really excellent way to reach thousands of people. They were giving us thumbs up and really happy to hear the messages that we shared on these yellow signs that you see there. And the neighborhoods and schools and parents and teachers have all responded to what we've been doing and how we're getting out in the community. So now they are taking it on themselves. So they have borrowed our signs. I've come out to stand with them, and we've waved to people and reminded them that there's people walking here or biking, and they took ownership. Even if it wasn't along a high crash corridor, it was important to them, and they knew that there was an issue there. So we were happy to help them spread the word. And the last highlight of the Vision Zero Action Plan is the importance of storytelling and humanizing the victims. Alexis Miranda was a high school student whose death really was the impetus for developing our action plan. So we march on the anniversary of her death every year. And now we've been, starting last year, we recognized all those who have died by holding a walk of silence. Our inaugural event was last year. We painted shoes white, and we walked reverently and placed them along a busy road. So this year, we're going to carry posters of those who have lost their lives. The event is being held Friday after the Safe Routes to Schools conference. So we're going to gather at 7:30 on that Friday in front of the Hilton, and we'll read out the names of those who have died in 2019. We'll hear from any of the survivors who would like to speak, and we'll walk half a mile to a road that's right near downtown. It's ranked as our 7th worst corridor. So there's my shameless plug for if you guys are staying a little longer for the conference, I would love to have you join us on the Walk of Silence. But unfortunately, all those great things that we're doing, maybe we are saving lots of lives. You don't really know the lives that you save, but our traffic fatalities are on the rise. I checked this morning. We've had 99 people die this year so far. And if we continue on that track, we're going to exceed those people who have died in traffic this year from last year. Vulnerable road users, people walking, biking, and riding motorcycles are rising. It seems to be decreasing in the rest of our state, but not here. So we really recognize the need to diversify our coalition, get more people to talk about this with their groups. And that's what my panel is really all about. You'll hear from Leo. It's hard not to love this guy. You guys will love him. I hope you can come and hear him speak. But he suffered a horrific motorcycle crash. He lost his leg, but that hasn't stopped him. He agreed to star in a video that we produced, and it brings attention to actually 4 victims and a survivor. There was a motorcycle, auto crash, a cyclist, and Alexis's mom actually is in the video. She had passed away. So anyway, conference attendees will watch a video clip of Leo talking about his journey and his commitment to spreading the word about traffic safety in his group of family and friends. He works at a bike shop, so he shares that with his customers, and he actually is a Paralympic medalist in bicycling now. Another panelist will be Denise Howard. This is an administration at an inner city school, Cleveland Elementary, that just took it upon themselves to initiate a mural painting in front of their school. It's as if the existing curriculum and everyday demands of a school with over 90% low-income students isn't challenging enough. Vice Principal Denise Howard invited Vision Zero into her 4th and 5th grade classes to speak with them about traffic safety. And we held an art contest to design, the kids participated in an art contest to design the mural that we would be putting in front of their school. So the winner, Alex, she received a new beach cruiser bicycle, and we'll be showing a time lapse of that painting at the conference. The third panelist is Julius. He flew On Bikes. It's a company he started. They were chosen to be on the panel because of their growing popularity and their dedication. They have a motto that every kid deserves a bike. So each year they hold a huge event. They put together thousands of bicycles, and they give them to needy children. Their particular focus is foster children. And you'll see a short video at the conference highlighting Shiloh, who was homeless. You can see him in the picture there. He was living in a car with his mom, but he had a wish that kids like him would be able to access a bicycle to get to and from school. So with On Bike's help, Shiloh fulfilled that dream. Not only did On Bike sponsor the prize for the Cleveland Elementary event, I learned actually today that they're providing 25 bikes to the students I'm teaching walk and bike safety to at the summer camp near downtown in an inner city. I was very excited about that. I definitely want to give them a lot of props. The last panelist is Freddie Barton. He's going to talk about his nonprofit group. They're aimed at keeping kids safe in the city. They have 2 parks now that are in underprivileged communities, and kids can get away from the drugs and crime, or a little bit more of their focus. But at their recent SAFE Summit, the keynote speaker was this amazing 12-year-old motivational speaker. And we'll show a clip of King Na speaking wisdom beyond his years. He's just a dynamic speaker, and they have given him a chance to motivate their group at their SAFE Summit. So we want to hear him at our summit too, at our conference. Freddie and the Safe and Sound Coalition provided refreshments at our elementary school mural painting. They've just been a real strong supporter, and they're passing the word on, whether it's just with our logo or just the message of traffic safety. So I don't want to leave anyone out, and I think that we all can play a part in making our roads safer. And I always offer, an easy way to do that, and other ways that people can get involved. So that is the end of my presentation.
Great. Thank you, Gina. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. So Gina's session is going to be part of our building support track. So thank you so much, Gina, for sharing, and sounds really wonderful, and I'll be excited to see the videos in person in Florida. So last, we're going to hear from John in the Safe Routes Everywhere track. John is a Florida native and has spent most of his life in Gainesville. where he currently resides. He holds a bachelor's in exercise and sports science, a master's in sports management, and is currently pursuing his PhD in sports management from the College of Health and Human Performance. He is the co-principal investigator for 3 statewide programs funded by the Florida Department of Transportation, designed to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety throughout Florida. He works extensively with school districts, parks and recreation departments, health departments, law enforcement, and others to conduct bike and ped training workshops throughout the state, and he also oversees regional programs that teach bicycle and pedestrian safety to Florida's youth. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Egberts, and I want to say that I'm excited to have the national conference here in Florida and look forward to meeting everyone in November. And just from the sneak peeks I've already seen today, I'm excited for a lot of the sessions. So I work with Florida's statewide pedestrian and bicycle safety education programs, mainly Florida Safe Routes to School and also the Florida Traffic and Bicycle Safety Education Program. So today we're going to get a sneak peek of our presentation, Continuing Education Fresh from Florida, where we'll discuss Florida's efforts in pedestrian and bike safety over the years to kind of show you where we began and where we are now. So today we're going to highlight some of these efforts, but conference attendees will learn in more detail about how this program has evolved and remained sustainable over many years. So it's important to note that multiple organizations and agencies work together for these statewide initiatives. Most, if not all, are funded by the Florida Department of Transportation, and they provide education to all of Florida. So that's one of the things we do here is all of our stuff is statewide. And these programs are Safe Routes to School, the Florida Traffic and Bike Safety Education Program, or I'll just call it the FTBSEP. It's a little bit easier. Alert Today Florida, and then the Safe Mobility for Life. So while I won't go over all the milestones we've had in Florida's long pedestrian and bike history, I will note that the roots go back nearly 40 years for pedestrian and bike education here in Florida. So in the late 70s, early 80s, individuals and programs in Florida and Montana worked very closely together to develop the first bike safety education program for children. And after bringing that to Florida, with some early success in small regions, a proposal for a statewide training program and curriculum was developed. So funded in one form or another by the Florida Department of Transportation, this program has evolved over time, which I'll go into in a minute. Trained thousands of trainers and many, many more children and others. So for the next few minutes, I'll discuss the evolution of Florida's youth program for pedestrian and bike education, which turned into the eventual Safe Routes to School program. Florida's original youth program was developed and administered in the 80s and 90s by the FTBSEP, which is through the University of Florida, where I currently am and administer these education programs. In 2005, when there was federal funding available for Safe Routes to School, Florida created its first dedicated Safe Routes to School program. At first, there were just pockets of Safe Routes education programs around the state, so it wasn't statewide quite yet as far as the educational programs. And a lot of these local programs had success, but there was little consistency between them, and there was no real communication between them. So again, they had success, it's just there wasn't a lot of consistency of the message and materials they used and those sorts of things. So in 2014, the Florida Department of Transportation again partnered with the University of Florida, where the FTBSEP began and still resides today. They partnered with us to develop and implement a statewide Safe Routes to School model with a consistent message and updated, kind of standardized curricula and lessons. So during the past 4 years, Florida has expanded its Safe Routes to School educational reach from 13 counties to now it covers all of Florida's 67 counties, reaching many, many children that had never received any pedestrian or bike education. So to have the greatest reach, the model that Florida Safe Routes to School uses is a train-the-trainer model, where we have regional Safe Routes to School educators that conduct workshops, and primarily they teach school teachers how to implement the Florida curriculum in schools. Our trainings for these teachers are usually a full day, 6 to 8 hours, which may sound like a lot, but they're pretty extensive, with classroom and then outside, on bike, on foot training. That's very comprehensive. So some of the topics covered are obviously laws and hazards and seen and being seen. Our trainers that teach the school teachers also certify them in helmet fitting. So all of the people that come to our workshops are certified helmet fitters, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Of course, we do hands-on pedestrian and bike skills, school bus safety, and then the practical skills of how to actually set up pedestrian and bike skill stations. In addition to training teachers, our Safe Routes educators also provide direct education to students at community events and in schools. And to kind of give you an idea of our reach, since about halfway through 2014, that's our state fiscal year, the Florida Safe Routes education programs have reached and educated around 800,000 students in 3,000 schools. We've trained around 2,000 school teachers. As I mentioned earlier, we've provided training in all of Florida's counties, which there are 67. We also educate individuals at community events, like bike rodeos and safety fairs and those sorts of things. And then we have fit and distributed over 50,000 bicycle helmets. So Florida has a bicycle helmet distribution program where free bicycle helmets are provided to individuals who have been trained. So these are just the numbers for the Safe Routes educators who have fit and distributed over the years. I know that many, many more bike helmets have been fit and distributed by other programs as well. So in addition to providing educational workshops, local support, and obviously the lessons and curricula, which I'll discuss next, Florida has provided over 40 bike trailers to school districts and other organizations to use when teaching the Safe Routes education. While a lot of education can be done in the classroom, we know that firsthand the importance of getting children on bikes to practice the real world skills. So we want to make sure to complement what we're teaching in the classroom with actually getting them on bikes outside practicing the skills. So as I talked about earlier, Florida has had a youth program in some form or another for over 30 years. One of the first for our program was we actually just hosted our curriculum and lessons online at the Florida SRTS website, which is easy to remember, floridasrts.com. The website can be accessed from all devices. It's got the most up-to-date lessons. Every time something's updated, it's immediately put on the website. Teachers really like this. They're able to, view it on their computers or tablets or phones. They can do this outside when they're doing the bike skills. All the stuff can be downloaded, even the videos. We don't have any controls on those. They can be downloaded and saved. So we have found that this is a really great way to allow teachers to instantly access the most up-to-date materials. So some of the curriculum you can see on here that we have available are elementary and middle school lessons with supplemental videos. We are in the process of adding our newly developed high school program, which is called On the Road for Safety. This summer we'll be adding that, and that teaches high school students pedestrian bike safety, but then also trains them to go out into their community and teach elementary and middle school age students as part of volunteer or service work. Over the last year or two, we've developed a supplemental guide for teaching individuals with disabilities, and that's also hosted on the website. And then we have a walking school bus program, which has a guide and sample materials, training materials, those sorts of things. That's also hosted on the website. So essentially what we have available is pedestrian bike education in multiple forms for kindergarten through 12th grade available on the website, which has been very helpful in distributing this. So I mentioned earlier the Florida Traffic and Bike Safety Education Program, kind of shifting gears from youth education. This program did actually administer youth education in its earlier years, but about the past 3 to 4, since we had a Safe Routes program, the FTB-SAP has shifted its focus to training community agencies versus school teachers. So this is like law enforcement, fire rescue, parks and recreation, bike clubs, really anyone who is going to work on pedestrian and bike initiatives in their communities. These individuals are trained to teach and work on ped bike initiatives, as I mentioned, not just youth, but all ages. As part of FDOT's focused initiative, what we do is we focus on the top 25 high priority counties, and they're high priority counties because of the rates of crash, injuries, and fatalities. One of the other programs I'll briefly mention today, but will be covered in more detail in November, is Alert Today Florida, which provides community and law enforcement focused workshops, a lot of the community safety events, and develops and provides most of the educational resources we use at community events. All right, and I think this will be the last thing I cover today. So since about 1 in 4 Floridians are 60 years or over, and that number is only increasing, over the last couple of years, the Florida Department of Transportation has funded the development of walking and biking education for older adults. In addition to the safety aspect that we cover with all of our programs, we really want to teach older adults about the resources available to give them different mobility options, such as walking, biking, public transportation, or a combination of those. So similar to our other training programs, Safe Walking for Life and Safe Bicycling for Life teach community professionals, so these would be like your senior recreation staff, to provide education and outreach to older adults and how to actually use walking and biking as a viable transportation option. So again, we kind of cover all the bases from the youngest child all the way up to the oldest adult. You'll learn more about that at the presentation. So I want to thank you for your time today, and I hope you can attend our presentation. I look forward to meeting you all here in Tampa.
Thanks, John. I'm going to give everybody a little bit more information about all the other activities going on at the workshop or at the conference, but also remind you, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the question box, and we're taking questions about the conference as well as questions for our presenters today. So beyond the breakout sessions that are in the 4 tracks, we also are going to have mobile workshops and trainings. These are going to be really fun and exciting. We're going to have hands-on training as well as opportunities to explore Tampa and see programs in action. These are going to be longer sessions on Wednesday and Thursday morning of the conference in the morning. We are going to have 3 lunch plenaries, 1 each day of the conference, and during these plenaries, we're going to have some really inspiring speakers join us. We're going to hear from Mara Mincer, who thrives on engaging children, youth, and underrepresented communities in participatory planning. She is based at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and that's where she co-founded and now directs Growing Up Boulder. We're also going to have Jeff Speck at one of the plenaries. He is a city planner and urban designer who advocates internationally for more walkable cities. As the Director of Design for the National Endowment for the Arts from 2003 to 2007, he presided over the Mayor's Institute on City Design and created the Governor's Institute on Community Design. Since 2007, he has led Speck & Associates, a boutique planning firm that specializes in making America downtowns thrive. And then finally, we're going to have Siobhan Arlene Bradley. She's the founding principal of Reach Beyond Solutions, a public health, public policy, advocacy, faith, and executive leadership firm. She's also the co-founder of the Health Equity Cipher Group, a collaborative of nationally recognized health equity experts designed to expand the work of health equity and diversity inclusion of all sectors. Siobhan recently transitioned from the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General as the Director of External Engagement and Senior Advisor, where she managed all of the congressional, corporate, nonprofit, and advocacy organizational relationships. We're also going to have an opening reception on Wednesday evening and or Tuesday evening on the 12th, and this will be at the Tampa Bay History Center. This will be a great networking opportunities, and we'll have light appetizers, beverages, and open admission to the History Center for a portion of the evening. Here's our schedule at a glance. So the conference starts midday on Tuesday, November 12th. We're going to have the opening plenary, breakout sessions, and then that opening reception. On Wednesday, it'll be a full day with mobile workshops and trainings in the morning, breakout sessions, our lunch plenary, and then a reception in the late afternoon hosted by Visit Tampa. And then Thursday will be our closing day with mobile workshops and trainings in the morning, breakout sessions, and then our closing lunch plenary. Also, the Gulf Coast Safe Streets Summit was going to happen right after the conference in the same location. So the early bird registration with lowered rates is available through June 30th, this Sunday, I believe. So I really encourage you to check out our website, saferoutesconference.org, to register, find more information, and we'll be continuing to update this webpage with more details as we get closer. All right, so questions. I have a few questions for our speakers and then some more general questions about the conference. So I think the first couple questions I think are for John. John, how do you cover liability for the bike skills participants at schools?
So you mean like the students?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, that's a question we get a lot, and I can just give you the thoughts I have on that. So the bike trailers are owned by the school district, just like a lot of the other equipment that's used in the schools. And they have regular maintenance and schedules for that sort of thing. So really, children participating in the bike portion of the education is just like them participating in any other of the activities they do. As we know, children can get hurt, playing basketball, running, that sort of thing. So the question comes up, but I haven't really seen it be an issue, at least here in Florida. They're doing other activities. Some schools might have liability forms. I don't see it often because, again, I think that schools are pretty much covered under the fact that they're doing other activities anyway. So if you have a more detailed question, I could maybe provide some more info, but that's kind of a general response, I guess.
Great. And I think this next question is for you as well. And if it's not, the person who asked it wants to clarify in the question box. Okay. How can someone get trained and certified to become a trainer through the Train the Trainer program?
Yeah, so we have our regional educators, and these are individuals who we've kind of mentored over quite some time. They've got more advanced certification, and then what they do is they administer the Train the Trainer program. So what we typically do, if we're talking schools and safe routes, we will coordinate with someone at the district level to set up a training, and information is sent out, emails, people sign up, and that sort of thing. We also have on the website, people will contact us through there if they're interested in a training. So there's different ways to do it. I get requests all sorts of ways, but usually I work with someone at the district level to set up a training, and then we have people sign up.
Got it. And last question for you, John. Is there some sort of database or way to find out what communities or school districts are participating in the program?
Could you repeat that last part one real quick?
Is there an easy way to find out, or do you have a database or somewhere where people can find out which communities or school districts are participating in the program?
Not something that's available necessarily. Like, I don't put that on the website, but certainly if someone had a question of, what schools in my area have been trained, what teachers have been trained, that sort of thing, I may be able to answer that depending on where the question's coming from. But yeah, we don't necessarily publicize that, but we do have it available.
Okay. I would encourage anyone with additional questions about specifics for John to follow up with him. We have a few questions about the conference more specifically, and let's see, I'll try to answer all these. Will there be presentations about Safe Routes to School programs in rural areas? Yes, there will be a number of sessions about focusing on rural communities. So you can go to the program schedule on the saferoutesconference.org website and check those out. Information about becoming an exhibitor, that's also, I believe, on the saferoutesconference.org website there as well. We mentioned the networking opportunities. We'll have those 2 evening receptions as well as time during the conference to network. So definitely a lot of opportunities to get to know other folks and connect with others. Let's see, have a question about the conference rates. So our early bird rate is through June 30th, and it's $444 for the conference. And the regular attendee rate, which will be the next jump up, will be $550. And a little bit more about things to do in Tampa. There's really a lot to see, including the Riverwalk and nearby amusement parks. And that reception on Wednesday evening will be hosted by our partners at Visit Tampa Bay, and they'll have a lot of local information ready for you. So with that, thank you so much for joining the webinar. I wanted to give a quick thanks to our conference sponsors. The Florida Department of Transportation is our presenting sponsor. Hillsborough MPO is our local host, and our other sponsors are Urban Health Services and the Pedestrian and Bicycle Information Center in coordination with the National Center for Safe Routes to School. So thank you to our speakers today, and thank you everyone for attending the webinar, and we hope to see you at the conference and also on our future webinars.